Now, Ghost keeping people alive never worked out for Tommy and Ghost in the past, but this time it may just be different because Tommy doesn't have a lot of friends in Chicago, and he may just have run into a new connect thanks to Liliana. And could this be the Jimenez Cartel? But we do have to say, the card is slightly different to what we saw in Power, so only time will tell. But this was someone who I mentioned may be coming back to Power Book 4 Force, who we know from the very first episode of Power, and she may be someone who Tommy now starts to work with. But Liliana wasn't the only person we saw Tommy working with in episode 2. We also saw him meeting Diamond for the first time, where they were doing drops for Rojas to save Janard. And let's just say, Tommy doesn't take kidnapping so well. Now, there were also a few secrets revealed in this episode with D-Mac being JP Gibbs' son, and also Tommy's nephew. And Walter Flynn, he's sick, which is why he's so eager for Vic to take over the business. So we're gonna run through everything, all the storylines, characters, and secrets in this review and recap. But we started with Tommy watching over Chicago and reminiscing about Lakeisha and Cash. And you can tell he is still hurting and he hasn't moved on from her death, because this was someone he was about to propose to at the end of Power. But that was ripped away from him because of Tasha, because there is always consequences to this game. And it seems that JP has got himself caught up in a jam as well, with local gang members attacking his bar. But the person responsible for this was D-Mac, his own son, which we'll get to later on. But the person he called for help was Tommy. Now, in this conversation, there was a lot more background that was revealed than what we were told in episode 1. Now, we knew he had a son, which of course we found out this week was D-Mac, but he also has an ex-husband and his father is sick, with medical bills sky high. And with Tommy being Tommy, he will always be there for family. As long as you're loyal to him and you're not a snitch, Tommy will definitely be there for JP. But Tommy needed to make some money, and before he got to Diamonds, he stopped off to this place, which he eventually bought out at the end of the episode. Now, this was also where he bumped into someone he knows, and that was Liliana. And for those who forgot who Liliana was, she was in the very first episode of Power. She was a courier chick that got slashed, and where Tommy wanted to ice the chick, Ghost kept her alive, because that's just what Ghost did, and he moved her into one of the cash houses, but we never heard or saw anything from her after. And we'll come back to Liliana and Tommy later on, because then we found Tommy connecting with Diamond at his barbershop. But before we get to Tommy and Diamond, this is where we saw the conflict between the two brothers, because they definitely have a different way of doing things, and Diamond doesn't want these kids, because if they pull the trigger, then the blowback would be 13 others ending up dying. And as it is, Chicago was full of cops because there were 37 shootings just in the last week, hence why we could hear the sirens in the background throughout this episode. But there was a lot more history in this barbershop, because we learned that Diamond, he has a history in boxing, and Janard, he's also a fighter as well, but he's someone who's more into mixed martial arts. But Tommy wasn't here trying to make enemies in a city which he just entered, so he gave the money and the drugs back that he took from Janard. But we heard Diamond telling Tommy, a man alone in these streets don't last long. But he was definitely intrigued by Tommy, and he wanted to know more after he put hands on Elijah, who's one of the CBI's most loyal soldiers. But before they bounced, here's the conflict between the two brothers again, because D-Mac strolled in, who's not afraid to get down and show his loyalty to the CBI. And sooner or later, we're gonna see Tommy and D-Mac striking up a relationship, and no doubt, Tommy will be the connection between JP and D-Mac. But they don't take orders from Diamond, they take orders from Janard, who's been at the head of the organization for 15 years. But we then saw Diamond and Tommy being kidnapped by Rojas' men, because Rojas did say in episode 1 that they were gonna wait until Diamond got comfortable on the outside, and that's when they were gonna make their move. And it's because Diamond was the one who put him in the wheelchair while he was inside. That's because he was trying to get at Janard and take some of CBI business, and Diamond is someone who is always out there to protect Janard, and he also seems like he's loyal to those who are loyal to him. But even though Tommy wasn't a part of this bullshit that Diamond got himself into, he made himself a part of it, and they had to move Rojas' weight and deliver rape packages and collect the money for him. But after they threatened to kill Tommy either way, we all knew how this was gonna end for both of them. But as we moved with Diamond and Tommy, we saw them bond, and we also learned who Tommy's 3 enemies are. That was Rojas' people that he just pissed off, Vic from episode 1, and Liliana was the 3rd. But he also put it into Diamond's mind that Janard is the man who's holding everything down for him, and he's the one in charge of his organization. And this is a conflict we're going to continue seeing between Janard and Diamond, because Diamond is someone who definitely wants to reclaim his throne. And we even heard him telling Tommy that Janard doesn't understand how things used to be, and this is why Tommy and Diamond may get on so well. Regardless, he will always be there to protect his baby brother. So when he found out Rojas' men took Janard, we saw Tommy and Diamond getting shit done. Or rather, Diamond saw Tommy getting shit done. drop after drop, because Tommy knows this game and he knows how to play it, but not just with the game, he knows how to weird shit with his fucking cop, picking on Diamond. But what I do wonder from this scene is, what name popped up on the system when the cop ran the checks on Tommy? Because Tommy's supposed to be dead, and not many people know who he is or what his history is, apart from Liliana. But after they got Jannard, Tommy got paid. But the day that Diamond and Tommy had together, you could definitely tell this is a relationship that's gonna go far. Diamond likes the fact that he pays attention to detail. For example, how he clocked his real name, how he has his head on a constant swivel, and the way he handled himself. But he's also clocking Diamond City, and he's a free agent, so let's see what happens. But just finishing off this little plot, there was no way Tommy was gonna let Rojas' men kidnap him and get away with it, so he savagely blew them up and showed the CBI what he's capable of, which will probably have more blowback from Rojas' people. But when it was all said and done, when Tommy was paid, he went to go see his brother JP at their grandma's place, where JP played a video of him and Kate back in 1985. And this is a constant theme I think we're gonna see throughout season 1, which is more backstory to Tommy's character. But JP was pissed in this scene that Kate left him, because he said he fought as much as he could to hold on to his own son, but his mom came and took him when he came out, and maybe it was to protect his son, because we learned how DEFCON kept that private in raising Kanan, because it would never have been accepted in the streets. But he's not seen D-Mac for 14 years, since he was 2 years old, so I doubt he even knows what he looks like, because D-Mac vanished into the streets, and this is where we also learned he was a shooter at the beginning of the episode, but he also knows who he's shooting at, because we saw him looking at a picture of him and JP. But that's not only JP's son, this is Tommy's nephew, and no doubt sooner or later he's gonna put 2 and 2 together, and he could be the reason why D-Mac and JP connect again. But speaking of connecting, let's talk about how Tommy then came back to Liliana after he bought himself a new place. Now, when he found Liliana, he said nothing ever good came out of ghosts leaving people alive, and he was right. For example, Maria Suarez. But Liliana is someone who followed the orders from Ghost and Julio, and she did what she was told. She never snitched, and Julio gave her money to leave New York. And just before Tommy could kill Liliana, he found this, and this looks very similar to the card that belongs to the Jimenez Cartel. Now, it's not exactly the same, but it does have a very similar resemblance, so let's wait and see who this is. But Tommy may just have found a reason to keep Liliana alive, and he may well bring her on board, and we're trying to take over Chicago, so he's definitely glad that he bumped into an old friend. But let's move on to the Flynns. Now, we know that Vic and Claude's mom passed away, and it looks like Walter Flynn has a very similar sickness, and he's too stubborn to go to the doctor, even though they're chasing him, asking him to do some more checks. And this is why he's pushing Vic to take over as the head of the organization. But Walter Flynn, he also has a boss, someone else who's calling the shots from Ireland, but Vic needs to learn to do it his way, because that's the way his boss in Ireland wants him to do it. But the way Walter has it at this moment is Vic running the streets and Claude doing the books. But she wants more, and you can tell, because she wants them to expand into a new market with a new drug, which of course, Walter was never gonna go for. So I do think we could see a rebel on our hands sooner or later with Claude. Now, Vic's problem is, he's in love with Gloria, and even though she admires his loyalty, that's his problem. He will always be loyal to his father's business, which is why she shuts him out, and instead, she moves towards Tommy. But we've got Vic looking on, and moving in on his girl, and now Tommy's definitely ruffled some more feathers with Vic. So I'm sure we can expect Tommy and Vic coming head to head at some point. And that was episode 2, another very strong episode from Powerbook 4 Force, which is definitely laying the foundations for an explosive season. But seasons, in my opinion, with the groundwork that they're putting in and the backstory that they're giving us. But of course, the main talking point is Liliana's return from power. And also this, does this belong to the Jimenez Cartel? Drop all your thoughts down below. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Powerbook 4 Force and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.